Hello, everybody. This is William K. Murtaugh, Witness 1. And today I'm going to get into just a few things that have been happening over the past few days. Last night, I had on a couple ladies that had been working on the Weatherling case for almost 2 decades, one of them at least. And they brought out the fact that people were willing to get involved in the case and lie about who they were. And then Timothy Charles Homseth went ahead and decided to lie about the case, which is no surprise on Homseth's part. Telling the truth seems to be a problem with him. The problem becomes when it involves an active investigation. Now, it's true this case was 22 years old, and so on and so forth, but for Tim Homseth to get yet another family involved in these wacko conspiracy theories was a disgrace. But that's Tim Homseth. I may do a follow-up down the road to a little bit better explain what happened last night, but I am going to get into a little bit of detail here. And during this monologue, you're going to see the 8 pages that I put up, along with some other material, so you could best understand exactly what happened, who was involved, and so on. Apparently, for some reason, it is alleged that Randy Erickson and some other people decided to approach Diane and Julia about the Weatherling case. They alluded to the fact that they were part of a congressional task force in some of these meetings, and that they had vast financial resources to help solve whatever issues were remaining about the crime, and basically promised to help solve it, or at the very least get the word out about the case, so that maybe more tips could be generated. Now, what's surprising about this, if their claims are true, is the amount of money involved. There's claims that $30,000 was spent on Timothy Charles Homseth alone. That's a lot of money. And the question that has to come is, what on earth did they spend the $30,000 on? Whisking somebody off from a county jail or a county courthouse before a trial shouldn't have cost that kind of money. I mean, maybe $50 in gas, another $100 for a hotel room, or, whatever it takes to get him in hiding. It shouldn't have cost that kind of money. Feeding him, so on and so forth. It wouldn't cost that much. So there's something odd going on here with all this money being circulated, and having at one time a $250,000 goal on a FundMe account raises a few eyebrows. But at the bottom of all this is that we got a bunch of people running around misrepresenting who they are. And once again, you have clear-cut proof that people are falsely maintaining that they are agents of the United States government. Now, Kirk Pendergrass, who also got involved in this mess, claims that any claim of being an agent of the United States government is defamation, slander, and what have you. But here it is, the very woman he was with in this meeting did exactly that. She claimed that there was representation of the United States government involved in what they were doing. And these claims are still being made on social media as of a couple days ago. And Kirk Pendergrass is in the middle of it. Chris Hallett is in the middle of it. Tim Homseth is in the middle of it. Bill McConnell is in the middle of it. And so are a number of other individuals whose names popped up over the past few days. And in the correspondence I had regarding this matter over the past week or so. It seems that there is a fairly sizable group of people that have decided that they want to be part of a task force that does not exist. And that the primary goal seems to be making some money off of this, or at least spending a lot of it. Which is again something that's rather odd. But again, I reiterate, there is a federal investigation into this. Because these people are doing something that is quite illegal. They are representing themselves as an agents, individually and collectively, as agents of the United States government. In this case, first Congress, then Navy SEALs, and now the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force. And I have learned that there's probably yet another government agency that is looking into this. It has been brought to their attention. And interestingly enough, this is an agency within the Pentagon. And this is the Department of Threat Management, which is a part of the Pentagon Police Force. Now, the Pentagon Department of Threat Management is looking into what's going on. Individuals have reported directly to this department of the existence of the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force and have told the investigator in charge that people are representing themselves as part of the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force and visiting individuals associated with the investigation of cold case murder cases and offering their services. And this would be in demand for confidential evidence having to do with one particular case. And of course, the Pentagon, knowing that there is no such thing as the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force, has taken a bit of an interest in finding out just what the heck is going on. So now, the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force gets to deal directly with the Pentagon, whether they want to or not. Because I would suspect in the coming weeks, when the Pentagon gets enough information on what's going on, they're going to start paying a little visit to the members of the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force. And they're going to have sufficient clearance for the task force people to clarify just exactly who they are and what this affiliation with the Pentagon entails. And I would bet that there's going to be a severe Malox moment when these people start showing up at their door. Because there is no Pentagon Pedophile Task Force. Never was, never is, never will be. Pentagon doesn't get involved in such matters. And it doesn't matter who orders them to. This would be referred to the proper department, which is the Department of Justice. And the people throwing this claim around seem to think that they're going to get away with it, but they're not. Because eventually the government's going to step in and say, we've had enough of this. It's time for you people to come to the nearest federal courthouse and have a little discussion with a jury as to who you claim to be and what you have been doing when you were claiming to be part of this Pentagon pedophile task force. And anyone that's had any affiliation directly with this task force are going to be answerable. If you declared yourself to be on the board of this task force, a member of the task force, anything at all to do with this task force, you are subject to arrest. It's as simple as that. So I would be prepared for the worst, people, because it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. And now, let me address Field McConnell. Field McConnell has not been heard of in, I believe it's 4 days now. There has been not one jailhouse call. There has not been one letter. He has not been released. And the main field report channel is basically dormant. There is a Field McConnell 2, or I should say Field Report 2, that has been operating. And this is basically Kirk Pendergrass doing his law thing on a channel that is named the Field Report. But is somebody doing a little bit of identity theft or plagiarism or something here by using the graphics of the Field Report and creating yet another YouTube channel to confuse the Field McConnell subscribers? It would appear that way. Nothing I have seen has come out of the Field McConnell camp that says that they're okay with this. In fact, not many people have said anything about it. It's just there. Observers of Kirk Pendergrass's activities are the ones that brought this to the attention of the public. And while they're generating pretty decent viewership numbers, they are yet committing another fraud, because if it can be proven that they are no part of the Field Report, now they can add identity theft to their sheet of charges, plus the fact that they're engaging in wire fraud yet again, because they're claiming to still have an affiliation with Field McConnell and his situation. Even though Tim Holmseth, who's supposed to be the spokesman for the Pentagon pedophile task force, has made it abundantly clear that Kirk Pendergrass has absolutely nothing to do with Field McConnell or the Pentagon pedophile task force. As a matter of fact, as was brought out, Timothy Charles Holmseth has accused Kirk Pendergrass of grand theft, auto and grand theft period, since he may have stolen a fairly expensive laptop. There were rumors that he took more than one of them, but he's got at least one laptop and whatever else he extricated from Field McConnell's house, and just left without making any kind of announcement that he was leaving. He left sooner than he said he was going to leave. He was supposed to be there for, I think, 6 months, and he was there for 6 weeks. So Kirk Pendergrass cut and ran when things started to hit the fan. And I would suspect that sometime soon Kirk Pendergrass is going to divorce himself from Phil McConnell and the Phil Report completely. Too late, of course, but he's going to give it a try. Unfortunately, Kirk Pendergrass, however, it's too late. The complaints have been made, the investigations have begun, and so everything he's done to date has been archived, categorized, and are being looked into by law enforcement and government officials. And when the government decides it's time to act, they will act, and these people will be in for an unwelcome surprise. Now, while on the subject of Phil McConnell, there's someone who put up some content on YouTube, and now we have calls for the armed extradition of Phil McConnell from the county jail. He needs to be broken out, is what seems to be the message of this particular individual. And he's instructing people to take up arms to do just that. Now, this is something that I anticipated, as dangerous as this stunt would be. But this is what happens when you get people that don't use sound judgment involved in these situations. As these people take the law into their own hands, they take matters into their own hands, and now we have armed vigilante militias marching around to try and free a martyr from jail. And there's no telling who is listening to this clown and if this is going to happen. And if it does happen, then there are some people that are going to have blood on their hands because they encouraged this sort of thing and stood idly by while others did it in their stead. You know, they seem to think they can make the argument, well, it wasn't me. This guy's the one that decided on his own. And it doesn't work that way. Because it's, you know, you passively support this kind of activity, so you're a part of it. You're responsible for it. You're not coming out and being vocal and saying that we don't condone this. It's stop advocating this stuff. We don't condone it. I haven't heard a word from the other side in that respect. Instead, they're expanding their conspiracy theories, moving away from Phil McConnell, incidentally. You know, every once in a while I'll put up some blip about him, but for the most part, they're going back to their anti-democratic, pro-Trump rhetoric that they've been doing since the beginning. But in the meantime, I go on with the wonderful, wild, and wacky world of Timothy Charles Holmseth and Phil McConnell. So until then, this is William K. Murtaugh, Mert Witness 1. Have a good one.